Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is Onetwothreesix, and today I'm making sort of a tutorial, more hopefully a thought-provoking video about the mechanics of holding a controller, the mechanics behind them. Now, I don't want to talk about specific grips or a universally proper way to hold the controller. I don't think there is one. Everyone's fingers have different lengths from joint to joint, from beginning to end, hand size, palm size, etc. So I don't think one technique will work for anyone, but these are just questions that I've raised in trying to get better, and thought it would be a good idea to post them, and maybe it would help some of you guys think about what you're doing when you're playing, because the movements you make on the controller are what translate directly to character movement. So these are just some things to think about. And I noticed there's tons of videos about how to hold your guitar pick, how to hold your PC gaming mouse, but a lot of the controller tips for console don't really work. And when I was starting off, I thought about where do you want your thumbs to go? Do they go in the middle here? Do you put your thumb all the way in the middle? For me, that doesn't work. My thumb tends to slide around, and I don't have very good control. Or do you put it across the whole thing here? This seems to work better for me. And then what angle do you have your thumb at when you do that? Do you want it straight up, vertical? Do you want it slightly across? I find this works better for me. I can push with this against this top corner here to move sideways, bottom corner here to move to the right, and with each part of my finger. And do you want to use this first joint here or both joints to move? And what I mean by that is, you want to keep your thumb straight here, or do you want to use just this top first one to move back and forth? And I think a combination works better for me. With precision aiming, I like to use this first joint because you don't have to move as far, but farther apart you can go and move your whole thumb there. Now, I do have a problem with firing while doing this, because as you can see, if I have my joints bent, it moves my thumb here a little bit. So I like to keep it straight. Now when I'm pulling the trigger, my thumb doesn't move. It doesn't mess up my aim at all. The next thing to think about is your back fingers back here, because they are what put pressure against your aiming movement. When you're pushing to aim, you're aiming against your own fingers here. So do you want them spread all the way fully across the back like this? Do you want them closer to the middle? Do you want them to be at the tips of your fingers? Do you want them to be closer to where your knuckles are? I find for me that I like to have it closer to the tips of my fingers and held away from my palm. Hopefully you can see that it's farther away from my palm here. I'm not sure how good of a view that is, but I don't have it close like this. I have it far away. That seems to help me. That gives me a top-down pressure on this stick, so I have more control. I'm closer to the center of the stick at all times. If you're farther out here, my thumb has to travel a long ways to make it move. But if you're closer to the top here, you don't have to move nearly as much. Next is trigger fingers. How far down the trigger do you want your index finger to be? Because there are a couple of things here. I'm sorry that I'm out of breath. I just did a workout suggested to me. Anyway, so for the trigger fingers, do you want it down here at the bottom? Because it's a lot easier to push. The pressure is a lot less here, but the distance is farther. You have to push down a lot farther to activate the trigger. At the top here, you need a lot more pressure, but you barely have to push down, so you can burst fire a lot more quickly. And lastly is your whole hand's wrist elevation. Do you want to hold your wrist down like this, tilting the controller towards the floor, up like this? How far in do you want your wrist? You want them turned out like this as you hold the controller? Turn closer to the middle. I like mine closer in the middle and up. For me, that seems to work better. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it puts my thumb closer to the center again. If I'm like this, my thumb is really far away. I hope you can see how far away here my thumb is from the middle, and I tilt it up and put my hand closer together, and it gives me a lot more control. So hopefully these are some things you can think about when you're playing. It'll make a big difference in how well you can shoot run. Now I focus mainly on this right side here because that's where most first-person shooter issues arise. The left is mainly for strafing, and I don't see most people having a problem just moving around as you're firing, but it can help that too. So hopefully this gave you some stuff to think about. It some stuff I've been messing around with. Next I'm going to start working on how do I want to hit this A button. Normally I hit it with the tip. My thumb, I've been thinking about trying to switch to using closer to the knuckle so I have better access to the X button, Y and B here, same way. But hopefully this was thought-provoking, and I hope it helps you guys out, if nothing else than just something fun to think about. So until next time, take it easy. Peace.